Hey guys, and welcome to a scrap between one old legend who has returned to the channel in the form of Papa Palpatine and the Beastmen forces up against one new legend, the Phoenix King, who has been featured rather recently, and he's coming in with the High Elf forces. It's been quite some time since we've seen Papa Palpatine here on the channel, but he is bringing his favourite beastly hordes to the battlefield. Very good Chaos player, very good Beastmen player, and it's great to see him back in action. So let's have a look what his build is today. In the front lines, it is pretty damn cheap and cheerful, just the way most Beastmen players like to play it. A load of Gore herds in the front with Ungor spears guarding the flanks and rear makes a nice defensive yet aggressive formation at the same time. They can cover each other whilst slow pushing forward. We have a bucket ton of cavalry, double Centaurs in the back and one unit as well of the Regiment of Renown. This is the Grog Hooves of Wolf's Run, who have that lovely regeneration. I think Centaurs are really fantastic for their cost. They are very hard hitting, but can be a little bit squishy if they get counter-charged. So we're going to have to keep an eye out for them today. They certainly want to be the ones engaging the enemy rather than the other way round. In the centre of this build, that's when we have the real meat and juice of any good Beastmen force. It is their giant, scary single entity characters, heroes, and monsters. Leading this battle line, we have the Vobbergland Broodmother doing its little best duck impression there, flapping its wings up in the sky. Unfortunately, those wings look a little bit ripped and not particularly useful. The Regiment Renowned does bring Armour Sunder into the battlefield, as well as those magical attacks. Over on the left-hand side, we have the Eye of Morsalib. Regiment Renowned Cygor can do some nice long-range damage, as well as pin the enemy in place with the Eye's ability, which is, if we go down here, the Warp Gaze, which is particularly useful there. Actually leading the force with a big old moo being ripped from their lips as they charge into battle, it is going to be a Doom Bull, the more cheaper version of Taurox. I do think Taurox the majority of the time is worth the extra little bit of cost, just due to how much more tanky he is, but the Doom Bull's model really is one of my favourite in recent memory to come out of a DLC. He is so freaking badass. I love the kind of barbed knuckle he has with those tusks strapped to his wrists. Now, he's still a really decent melee combatant. Dazed is a very powerful hex which hits the enemy once he does indeed connect a blow, lowering their melee defense, but more importantly, lowering their speed, making him quite a good character assassin because they cannot flee from him. He's coming in with barbed knuckle boxing, we have Slaughter's Call and Blood Creed, and of course, as always, we have a Bray Shaman coming in with Traitorkin, as well as, I believe this is going to be Devolve. It is indeed Devolve, a really nice hex, very underrated, which people, though, have started to pick up on a little bit more, and we are seeing it more and more in the game, which is good to see. Traitorkin been around for quite some time now. Phoenix King, one of the best High Elf players around, very good tournament High Elf player, and he has one or two tricks up his sleeve. Now, I would say this matchup favours Beastmen, but when Phoenix King's in charge of the High Elves, I don't think there's any good matchups against them. And here's a really nice assassination core up in the sky, coming in the form of the double Flamesfire Phoenix. They're coming to bring those hot flaming poops down upon the enemy. Very good character assassins. They're almost like the High Elf versions of Manticores. Now, they are very expensive, but at the same time, there is the possibility for rebirth. We'll have to see how they perform today. In the front battle line, we have a load of Rangers. They will slice and dice their way through the majority of Beastmen infantry with their dual-wielding swords. And just behind them, in the juicier centre of this High Elf build, we have triple Lothran Seaguard looking to win the plane from range. Helping protect them, we have 4 units of Illyrian Reavers. These guys will do fine against Centaurs, again, if they get the charge. If they get charged, it's going to be an absolute blood slaughter for them, unfortunately. In the back, we have one Evilclaw Bolt Throw, which is quite a nice pick here. It's going to bring a lot of damage to those big Beastmen targets. You can see the High Elves actually force themselves forward a little bit to keep the distance between the enemy and the Evilclaw Bolt Thrower at a maximum there. We have some spinning in the back to help protect, and leading the battle line is Alariel the Radiant, the Ever Queen, the Ever Pigeon. She's coming in with Fire's Protection, Earthblood, Shield of Thorns, Arcane Conduit, and the Star of Avalon. So a bucket ton of protection and healing options. Most likely going to be using them on these Flamefire Phoenixes. I really think they are the kind of wow factor of this High Elf build, and instantly they might be going after an assassination attempt on the Bray Shaman. You can see that Bolt Thrower has already ripped a few shots and connected rather nicely. Now the front line will go pretty well for the High Elves, wherever there is no large creatures. Unfortunately for them, there's a lot of large creatures around. Doom Bull going headfirst in with a roly-poly, slams into the enemy as the Broodmother follows suit and is going to be crushing Rangers and instantly force paths her way into the Lothran Seaguard, which is a fantastic idea. In the back, you can see that Brave Shaman got absolutely gooned out by the double Flamesfire Phoenixes. It's unlikely he's going to be able to escape here, although it looks like we might have a little bit of stuck here from the Flamesfire Phoenixes. They get pinned in by the Ungor Raiders. Actually have to fall back in the other direction, taking massive damage there from the Grog Hooves of Wolf's Run. They need to continue this pursuit. That Brave Shaman cannot be allowed to come back to the battlefield. In the front line, the Rangers have had the absolute snot kicked out of them by this Doom Ball and the onrushing Gore Herds. Rangers are trying their best and they're winning wherever they're in isolated pockets, but they're often getting overrun just by large creatures and scary Centaur pushes. Over on the left-hand side, we can see Centaurs have engaged with the Reavers. The Vobbergland, oh my god, there we go, that's such a tongue twister there. The Broodmother, as we're going to call her from now on, does actually manage to escape the pressure of Alara the Radiant, but she did some nice damage to him all round. We also have a fast protection going down on these Reavers, which will hopefully keep them nice and healthy. I'm not so sure that's going to work, though, with the Broodmother, as well as these Centaurs ripping and tearing into the throats of horse and rider alike. In the distance, you can see, unfortunately, that Shaman Woods force off the battlefield. Really good use there of the Flamesfire Phoenixes. They could probably both 2v1 the Eye of Morslib, but looks like they're going to be moving back into the main fight to try and assist, because the High Elves are being, unfortunately, slightly overwhelmed here in the centre. Alara the Radiant is pursuing the Groghoves of Wolf's Run, which is a tough fight for her, because they can do some nice damage whilst being able to kite pretty effectively. Those axes, though, not the best at hitting air targets. In the main fight, Lothar and Seagard are terrified and now broken. Some Rangers are starting to pull back. We still have the Bolt Thrower alive and active. Spearmen are again dragged a little bit out of position. It looks like they were trying to force off those Centaurs. They need to ensure that they do protect this Bolt Thrower, because at the moment the Beastmen are certainly in a state of advantage, at least in my opinion, because look at the Broodmother just forcing her way through, slamming into the Rangers and doing some pretty good work. We do have 2 units of Lothar and Seagard, though both are pretty beat up, and the Eagleclaw Bolt Thrower trying to bring her down, but she's going to charge in instead, and whoop, straight on top of the enemy, all the way through onto the Bolt Thrower, doing some lovely damage there. We still have the triple flying goon squad. Jumping down on the Doom Ball might not be the worst idea in the world. We do see those fire poos being brought to the fourth here. Gore Herds and Ungors alike are unfortunately suffering under the cruel leadership here and reign of the evil Flamesfire Phoenixes. Rangers are pushing off a load of infantry, which is pretty good news for them. There are still a decent amount of Ungor spearheads in hot pursuit, and we have some who are in reserve to help protect the Eye of Morslib, pushing up now that they realise there's not too much threat to them. Combination of Reavers as well as the Flamesfire Phoenix are annihilating Centaurs, but they should just be about to escape here. They're kind of slithering and sliming their way back out there to freedom before turning around to throw in some more axes once more. Bolt Thrower is still somehow alive. It's only on 9 kills so far. What's the damage value? 660, not bad, but not really what I was expecting. The infantry is starting to push up pretty aggressively now onto the Bolt Thrower, which has actually switched into that spread shot to try to deal with the enemy infantry. Liam Reavers are starting to get very tired and knackered at the moment as the Doom Ball does clobber his way through them. Rangers are trying their heart out. The Flamesfire Phoenixes probably need to commit to this main fight, particularly if the Eye of Morslib so far away and a load of the Beastmen troops kind of dotted around the battlefield break the backbone here of these Beastmen forces. And you can see they're doing a really lovely bombing run, clearing out a decent amount of the chaff before they can hunt down the big old Broodmother here with the help most likely of Alariel the Radiant. Infantry starting to waver. I think now is the hour to swoop in to try to finish them off. It looks like we are going for another bombing run though, and the Ungors starting to waver pretty badly. Balance power is very heavily in the Beastmen favour, but it so often is, and it doesn't always mean that it should be victory. And I think I cast a game recently actually where the balance power was like this against me, against the Beastmen, and we managed to pull it back. Centaurs take a decent amount of damage there, as well as the Gors. A lot of these units are bunched up quite a lot now, and they're really taking a pounding. Very impressive work so far by the double Flamesfire. Unfortunately, they have no troops left to support them, really, with Alara the Radiant who can dive down, but all of the Grand Forces are legging it right now. Spearmen are gone. Eagleclaw Bolt Thrower has indeed shattered. We are going to be getting a Fast Protection, Earthblood, and Shield of Thorns coming down on both of these Phoenixes, as well as a Heart of Avalon, now Star of Avalon coming down. Is it going to be enough? I think this is the first star we've seen all day. I think Alara has to push in here. I don't think there's any way these Flamefires can do it by themselves, but they're trying to assassinate here the Broodmother, who's really struggling quite badly, down to 1,000 HP, but up to an impressive 181 kills, taking some pretty hefty hits now. Unfortunately for the Flamesfires, they are of course going to be getting dazed and stunned by the mighty Doom Ball, who's trying to gouge out their hearts where possible. Down the Broodmother goes though. She does an overdramatic death. So some real GCSE acting there by the Broodmother, but I absolutely love it. We do get yet another hill go down, although the Flamesfire is getting relatively close to its healing cap. Now, they may be rebirthed and born into the world once more, which would be really useful right now. So Doom Ball's taken a bit of a beating. It seems like the Eye of Morslib's had enough of shooting at range, and is going to be moving in to hand-to-hand combat. Take a little zoom in now. You can see both the pigeons struggling a little bit while I'm doing a little bit of jig. They are going after that Doom Ball. If they can bring down the Doom Ball, maybe there's a chance for a big fat terror out. But then you do, of course, have the Eye of Morslib, who can still be a relatively decent melee combatant, despite the fact of him being a ranged combatant. A little zoom out, one of the Flames Fires unfortunately shatters, a Lava shatters as well as the Eye of Morslib moves in, and that is going to be GG. Well played to both these players, Mr. Papa Palpatine and the Phoenix King. Always great to have both these guys back on the channel. Really happy Papa Palpatine is active again as well, playing some more Total War Warhammer multiplayer. He has certainly been missed in tournaments. And it was a really good fun fight. I was very impressed with the Flamesfire Phoenix play. Despite that, 900 damage value on each of them isn't too shabby, but compared to the big heavy hitters here of the Beastmen, is there any faction in the game with better heavy hitters? Maybe Lizardmen, I would argue. It's tough to say. 1000 damage value on the Eye of Morslib, 2.2k on the Vobbergland Broodmother, there we go, and 1400 on the Doom Ball. A really lovely combination, despite losing their mage early on, managing to win the battle without actually having to use magic is pretty impressive stuff. Hope you guys enjoyed that one. I'll delve into the damage dealt and damage value of all of these units in just a second, but if you guys enjoyed, make sure to leave a fat juicy thumbs up, subscribe to the channel for more content. It really does help out hugely, and comment down below what you thought of the battle, what you'd like to see in the future, or just yell quack at me. There's a bucket ton of links down below in the description if you'd like to check those out and support the channel. They're basically Patreon links. I've got a Discord link, a link to my Twitch, a load of awesome stuff, so feel free to go down there and peruse at your leisure. Well played once again to the Phoenix King and Papa Palpatine. A very tough matchup for High Elves in my opinion, and I like this idea. It's obviously quite experimental, and it nearly worked here. So Alara of the Radiant, 929 damage value. The infantry, I mean, the Rangers got decent kills across the board, but the damage value is really low. Apart from this one unit who got 730. The others kind of did, okay, but nothing too amazing to be honest. They were just kind of clearing out the chaff in the front line, which is an important job. Lothran and Seaguard suffered. There just simply was not enough to protect them, despite the fact there was this mass of Illyrian Reavers. The single entity swarm is so hard for High Elves to deal with. You just get pushed through, you don't have much mass to pin them in. Illyrian Reavers aren't going to be able to hold back the enemy for too long. Flamesfire Phoenixes, 70 and 60 kills, both just shy of 1000 damage value. Still had some left to go as well. I think this one was basically at its healing cap. The other one had plenty of room left, but unfortunately the odds were too much, and they did indeed shatter. Eagle Claw Bolt for a 660 damage value. As for the Force of Papa Palpatine, the Doom Ball, very impressive, 1442 damage value, with plenty left in the tank. I really love this model, it's so beautiful, and I hope we get to see more of him into the future. Cool pick. Only 224 damage value on the Brave Shaman's getting absolutely just bam, slapped from the off, and those Flamesfire Phoenixes devouring her soul, or his soul, whatever he wants to be. So the Ungor Spearheads, didn't do too bad, didn't do too great either. Likewise, the Gore Herds performed okay, just clearing out the chaff and swarming the enemy, which is an important job. Centaurs performed absolutely amazing here. 107 kills on this unit, 1979 damage value. Such good value from these guys today from Papa Palpatine. You can see the second Centaur unit, very similar, 1130 value with a mighty 60 kills. Gorg Hooves of Wolf's Run is a really nice new utility unit for the Beastmen, over 1000 damage value. I remember at the start people were saying they weren't going to be too useful, but I'm seeing them more and more pay for themselves in these kind of high stakes games. The Vobbergland Broodmother did go down eventually, but not before getting 2,215 damage value and 181 kills. Bringing this bad boy, basically, unless your opponent has gone Phoenix Guard, ensures you're going to win the infantry fight if you can keep range away from it. The Eye of Morslib got 1000 damage value, 61 kills, not shabby whatsoever. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Until next time, peace, peace. And as always, stay awesome.